Kia ora. If you just want to come up to the desk, there are mics in front of you. Please only turn them on when you're speaking. So the button on the right is to turn on the mic. If you just want to introduce yourselves, and you know the drill, there's a 5-minute speaking turn, and hopefully questions within that as well. So kia ora.
Kia ora koutou, my name is Matthew.
And my name is Nimish, and we're coming to you from Te Rōpū Kahikatea, Auckland University Students Association.
It's a pleasure to be here today. Thank you for having us. And today we wanted to talk about some student experiences around housing and how we can work together in this space.
Firstly, who are we? We are the largest student association in Aotearoa, representing over 45,000 students at Waipapa Taumataro University of Auckland.
We provide support services, we plan awesome events in Auckland, and we advocate for student issues on the national stage. Last year, we released the Students' Manifesto. Sorry, could we do next slide, please? Thank you. Last year we released the Students' Manifesto, which contains some of the biggest issues that students face in Auckland.
The manifesto is split into 3 key pillars: economy, education, and community. Today, we want to talk about one of the biggest issues facing students that appears in the manifesto: housing.
Next slide, please. Thank you. The issue is that housing in Auckland is often expensive, small, or really far away from the CBD. I'm currently on a flat hunt myself, and it's really difficult to find a place that's within budget, that's close to the CBD, or isn't kind of falling apart. This means that a lot of students are forced to live quite far away from the city and have to commute over an hour just to get to campus and the CBD.
Many of our students, like Matthew, are feeling this way as well, especially our out-of-town students who don't have family in the city and cannot fall back on living at home. International students are another group that are really caught out as well. With the lack of enforcement of the Healthy Home Standard, students often find themselves in housing that isn't fit for purpose.
So through the Students' Manifesto, we got a good sense of some of the thoughts that students on campus had that would make things better for students. So first of all, we'd like to see Auckland Council continue to support high-density zoning around the CBD to allow for more housing supply and ensure that there is the proper infrastructure to support that housing.
Students also want to see more built-to-rent housing being developed in the city to support specific student needs. Another issue is also the high one-off cost in bond payments. So supporting students with their bonds will also help alleviate the financial pressures that students face.
In the meantime, though, we would love to see better transport for students to be able to travel in from the outer suburbs to ensure that there's better access to the CBD and to the university, but we can speak about this another time as well.
As the Students' Association, we'd love to be able to work with Auckland Council to elevate these issues higher. We recognise that many of the levers still sit with central government.
So we see it as a unique opportunity this year, especially with the general elections coming up, to be able to work together as the Students' Association and the local government to better advocate and lobby central government and parties for better laws and policies that work for students in Auckland.
We think that Tāmaki Makaurau is the best city in Aotearoa, but we also want to make it the best city for students. Thank you very much for the opportunity to speak to you today, and we are happy to answer any questions that you may have for us.
Kia ora. Thank you. Very quick and straightforward ask and presentation there. So are there questions? Councillor Foley.
Kia ora, and thank you so much for your presentation. As a former student and former representative of AUSA, along with Councillor Ferry, it's really cool to see you there, and some of those photos brought back some awesome memories. I do recall, though, that the university does have a lot of accommodation, like O'Rourke and other halls, and then they extended that and have the railway as well as Kāloa Park. All up, what are the numbers there? How many, like, in terms of accommodation available for students? And are they privately, is it all owned by the university, or is it a mix? Kia ora.
Yeah, so in Tamaki Makaurau, there's definitely a mix. So the university owns quite a few accommodations, like you alluded to. So student accommodation is something that I'm personally quite passionate to speak about. The quality in Auckland is quite nice. The only thing is the cost. So for a first-year student living at, for example, Waiparuru Hall, which is the largest first-year student accommodation catered, it can set you back almost $600 a week. And to live in a non-catered residence like Harlow Park, that can set you back about $360 to $370. So it's quite expensive for students, and obviously, you're paying for the luxury of being in the city, but we still think that that's quite expensive and unreasonable. And so in terms of the numbers as well, it's around 1,000 beds, but obviously they're developing a new extension of Harlow Park as well, so we're pretty excited to see what happens with that. But yeah, the cost of student accommodation is quite a high barrier to accessing it.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Watson.
Yeah, thanks for coming in. Great to hear from our young students. You mentioned the quite large number of students who have to commute in from the suburbs, outer suburbs in particular. I think Auckland Transport would say that they have made an effort in recent times with the fare cap, and I think some of the tertiary concessions recently, which in some of the modes, like the ferries for instance, was students were paying very high prices. Have those moves helped, or do you think we really need to go a lot further to facilitate, accessible and reasonable public transport for our students coming from those outer suburbs in particular?
Kia ora, thank you for the question. I think those moves have definitely helped out. It's even helped us out personally as well, but I think it does need to go a whole lot further. So we're also really excited to present to the Transport Committee soon about that. Yeah.
And in terms of transport as well, obviously the semester hasn't started yet, so we'll be really excited to see when semester does start how that concession, that increase in concession will impact student mobility and student behaviour. And that's something, again, that we'll present to the Transport Committee on this as well, but we'll be pretty keen to work with Auckland Council to try and track and map out those behaviours as well. Yeah.
Kia ora, thank you. Councillor Patterson-Hamlin online there.
Kia ora, is my sound working okay? Cool, awesome, so some nodding. Thanks so much for coming in. I was just wondering, you're saying that the residence's cost can be around the $300 mark per week. I was wondering if you could let us know what the current student allowance or loan living costs are per week, and what a kind of rough average to rent a room in somewhere affordable within a kind of hour radius might be for a student. So what I mean is roughly how much of the available living costs are students spending on rent? Is it kind of all of it, or is there a gap there? Sorry, I didn't ask that very well.
No, you asked it very well. Thank you very much. So the current student loan weekly living cost allowance is $323. For student allowance, it's $380. So you could imagine one of our cheaper accommodation options at the university being Carlo Park Student Village at $360. If you're getting $323, you're already having to work or find another way to get that income. If you're on student allowance, that leaves you about $20. That's nothing at all, might get you a block of butter from the supermarket. Or 2 blocks.
Thank you. Just to follow up to that, do you think that this prevents Auckland teens, so people who went to high school in Auckland, do you think that encourages them to study outside of Auckland?
Yep, absolutely. In fact, I almost went to Otago because not that the quality of housing would have been particularly great, but being able to spend $150 to rent a room rather than my current setup where base rent is $250, with bills we move up to $280 or $290. It's not particularly high quality. It's not particularly healthy. That's definitely a concern for a lot of our students here, and it would have people going elsewhere.
Yeah, and I think that's where our interests align as well, as the local government, as the Students' Association, and as the university as well. We obviously want to make this the best city in general, but also the best city for students. And the fact of the matter is, a lot of students come to Auckland to view the campus are telling us that, they really want to come to the best university in the country, but they just really can't afford it. And so that's why they're going to universities like Vic and Otago, which, great universities as well, but we'd love to keep them here in Auckland because, yeah.
Thanks, Councillor. Councillor Ferry.
Kia ora, thank you. The reason I know it's 2 blocks of butter is because I bought a block of butter for nearly $10 on Sunday. So thanks so much for coming, and you're doing a great job. I wondered if you would just talk a little bit more about the reality of renting as a student as well. Like, obviously you've talked about the cost, but maybe a little bit about the quality. Are you seeing students who perhaps are living in conditions, given the cost, that are overcrowded, that kind of thing? Just cognizant that for most of us around the table, it's quite a long time since we rented. And for some of us, like me and Lotu, not very long since we were at university, but things might have changed a little bit in the last 2 decades. So, if you wouldn't just sort of... Yeah, no electricity, Morris, that's right. It was all by candlelight. That's how we melted the butter. So if you wouldn't just mind talking a little bit more about the realities of renting as a student beyond the cost aspect, that would be really great. Thank you.
Yeah, so I think I can split this into 2 as well. The first is living within the CBD, and the other is living outside of the CBD. Within the CBD, it's quite easy to find yourself in situations where the housing is just subpar. I think what we spoke about before as well is the healthy home standard isn't something that's enforced well, and I think students, and especially international students, to be honest, feel the brunt of that the worst. Especially if, like we said, if you don't have a place to go in Auckland, home to go, you're really, you're getting really desperate and you're really finding those flats that are just available. They're really, really poor conditions, and I've visited a few of these, and they're just absolutely horrible. It's just not fit for anyone to live in. There's a lot of talk about mold growing in the walls. Landlords not really doing much about them. It's just quite horrible. Outside the CBD, I think, can get a bit better, especially with a lot of new development, let's say around Mount Wellington, for example. A lot of new development, really nice. The quality is a lot nicer, but again, it's the access into the CBD that's the issue as well.
If I could just add to that, I think if we are really trying to sell ourselves as the best city for students in Aotearoa, one of the best cities for students to come in the world, if you're an international student, you get this amazing pitch from a university about how fantastic it is to come study here, and you rock up, have to pay a lot of your money for something that is not safe to live in. That's a terrible look for us as a city. That's one.
Cool, thank you. And just the other question I had was around, and you may not have any information on this, sorry, student contribution to Auckland's economy. Do you have any stuff around there? I guess I'm also thinking as the parent of someone who's about to start at University of Auckland, who's going to have to stay at home because we haven't even had the conversation about him moving out. There's just no way. But I'm aware that obviously if he stays at home, he's not paying board or rent. That becomes a stress on the family. There's the economic aspect of it as well. So do you have any sense maybe from the university itself of the student contribution to the economy and how that may interplay with the housing cost?
Yeah, I mean, we don't have the specific numbers and data, but we can definitely try and find some of that for you. But just, on that point, I think that's a really good point as well, is that's why we have such an aligned interest as local government and the University and Students Association, because what we want the Auckland campus to be is a sticky campus. We want students to be able to, first of all, access and travel into the city, into the campus, but also stay around the campus. And when they stay on campus, what they do is they go out to the CBD, they go out on Queen Street to have lunch, have dinner, they go to shop, they go to the arcade, they go to the movies. That's where we have an aligned interest in terms of economic reasonings as well. But just, I think the reason why Auckland City is so amazing is because we have 2 universities here. And I think students, bias ourselves, but I think students really are the heart of the city here. So I think the more we can do to keep students going to the CBD and having them stay in the CBD is just better for everyone involved. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Kia ora, Councillor. Thank you. Councillor Filipina.
Atamari e he mana, morning chair, atamari e koutou katoa, to everybody in tēnā kōrero. In your PowerPoint presentation, what other levers do Auckland Council have to end up assisting in your last slide is let's work together? What other levers, because you've got high density zoning around the CBD, what other levers, because the other two you have there really is not with Auckland Council around building and everything else. So that's one part, one question, and I've got one more after that. Kia ora.
Yeah, so you're right that a lot of these levers do sit with central government, and that's why we want to sort of make use of this year as an election year to be able to sort of elevate that to the central government. But I think what some of the levers that do sit with Auckland Council are with, like you said, high density zoning around transport hubs, but especially with the infrastructure around those housing as well. So it's not just transport as well, it's just general infrastructure like the parks, the water, the electricity, all of that is really important as well. And I think all of that just makes housing, I mean, like I said, I'm on a flat hut right now as well, and all of that, all of the infrastructure is also a big factor in me choosing where I want to live for the next few years.
Kia ora, last part for you both. For those out in the public, what would your response be if they say, look, this is not core council business. They should be staying out of this housing and everything else. What do you say to those people who say that council should have nothing to play in that, apart from what you've said, transport, public transport, infrastructure, zoning, etc.? What would you say to those people?
Well, I would just go back to my point that this is a shared interest between the students, the university, and Auckland Council. Like we said, we think that Tamaki Makaurau is the best city in this country. And I'd almost go as far as to say that Auckland is one of the best cities to live in the world. But the fact is, for many of our students, it is not. It's very difficult to live here, especially for our international students. If we want to position ourselves as a world-leading university and a world-leading city to live in, we need to make sure that when they do actually come here, that they are met with quality infrastructure, quality housing, and a quality city to live in as well. So I think it is a shared interest between the students, the university, and Auckland Council, and that's why we really want to work together to elevate these issues to the central government, so they can play their part in making the city the best city to live in.
Kia ora, thank you. Councillor Henderson, sorry I missed you before.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, a lot of my questions have been answered, but just to follow up and appreciate your support of high-density zoning around the CBD. Just wanted to ask you about co-benefits. So obviously that would encourage more students into the city centre. What benefits would that give to the city as a whole?
I think seeing it more lively again. I talked to my brother who was a university student here about 15 years ago, and he talks about, oh, it was so awesome going down into Queen Street, there's so much business happening, so much foot traffic, people are out here supporting the city. And the co-benefits are really, you have the people who are here again. We have 70,000 students in our learning quarter between AUT and the University of Auckland. A lot are disincentivized to come back into the city after COVID. Part of that is because they have been priced out of it. It also benefits the university as well. There's a lot more traffic around there, a lot more support for the retail. People are more engaged with some of the things that are happening there as well.
Thank you, appreciate that. Thanks, Chair.
Kia ora.
Kia ora, Councillor. Haukura Member Blair.
Tēnā korua I nei kōrero, Ngāre Mu Blair and University of Auckland alumni. Tātou mā, if we didn't have students in the central city from University of Auckland and AUT, we would truly be worse off for it around vibrancy and trying to live up to this youthful nation in the South Pacific. Our students are much needed in our central city. So, kei te tautoko au, I rā kōrero. Whilst you're living off noodles and avocado on sale, to help deal with your hunger pangs, can't you just walk to Greylin and Ponsonby and Parnell and be inspired and look at the character buildings and forget your hunger?
I think that may have been a question around zoning or protection. I don't know if you missed that.
I think we'll leave that to the experts around the table.
Kia ora. Councillor Sayers.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Thank you, gentlemen. Yeah, I thought you might be on the local 95 BFM with that radio voice of yours there. It's terrific. So give it a go. Look, my question's around safety. Okay, so Auckland Council can have some control over what you'd probably term urban design. You know, the lighting, making places lit, and safe to occupy. So there's that angle. But just generally in terms of how safe do students feel in the CBD? What's your feeling around that? And if they're not feeling safe, what things are making them not feel safe? Because it's something we do discuss around this table.
I think it's important to know that sometimes some of the safety concerns from our perspective are overstated, but they are absolutely there. And one of the things that I think we raised together as an association is the fact that simply having more foot traffic around the city with students and others makes students feel far more safe. If there are only 5,000 students coming to university on a given day, let's say it's a Friday night, they want to all go out into the city, they're far more likely to feel unsafe for anything that happens, compared with if maybe there are 20,000 students and we have far more going out. Some of the other concerns that have come to the table for us recently is around students actually sleeping on or near campus. Some of the rough sleeping that's happening there. There's certainly some safety concerns around that. Matthew, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, and thank you for bringing up the issue of safety as well, because that's a huge concern for us. And I think one of the big things we've been hearing as well is around safety on buses and safety on transport. I mean, I think we're all aware of some of, for example, the stabbing that happens on buses, and a lot of them are motivated by hate crime as well, I think. So I think for a lot of students, what we've been hearing as well is actually many students don't want to come to campus, especially if they know that they might have to stay late, because they don't want to take the bus at night. And the other thing is they might just take an Uber home just because they don't want to be on a bus, especially at night. Especially if you're living on those outer suburbs as well, where you have to be on a bus or change buses as well. And it's quite dangerous and it's quite scary for our students. So that's actually a huge concern. That it's something we want to bring up at the Transport Committee as well, for sure. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. And just remember, the team are coming to transport and infrastructure, so try and stick our transport-related questions to that one. Deputy Mayor.
Oh, look, first of all, thanks for coming in. I think it's really important to hear from the stakeholder group that you represent and just keep us really relevant to, your thoughts and views. I too do support your desire for further intensification around the CBD, and I think we've made that quite public around this table. My question is around your interaction with other important stakeholder groups for the city centre. So, for example, do you present to Heart of the City as a stakeholder group? The organisation that is theoretically leading events and safety, etc., from the central city. Do you do that?
We haven't had something similar necessarily with Heart of the City yet. But one of the big projects that we're working on with Heart of the City and Tātaki Auckland Unlimited is to do with orientation and O-Week. So that's when a lot of these concerns do come up, especially around transport and safety. Less so housing with them, but I think it's definitely a bigger kaupapa that we can have.
So I suppose what I'm really saying here is I think you're a powerful voice when it comes to what happens in the central city. And I want to see you have a place at the table on an ongoing basis, whether it be transport, whether it be safety, whether it be events. I think, 70,000 people is a big stakeholder group. And the fact that you haven't been approached by some of those big organisations, I think, is not good for the future of our city, because you do have a powerful voice, and I think it's often an area that, has been overlooked, and it shouldn't have been overlooked. So that I also want to say that I think the reason that you've come here, how we can help, is that bridge. The answer isn't just us. the answer is the fact that we can help coordinate. I mean, it's backing up Councillor Filipino, really. It's, you know, a lot of people say this isn't core council business, but what is council business is to make sure that the people who live in this city are listened to and have been shown ways to work together for the betterment of the city going forward. So you've got a powerful year ahead of you from regards to lobbying with what central government can do and what local government can do as well. So when you have those conversations, feel free to reach out to see if there's someone from around this table that can join some of those conversations and help you join things up. But well done, and again, thanks for coming.
Kia ora, thank you.
Kia ora. And last question, Haukura Member Wilson.
Kia ora kōrua. As you can see, a lot of interest in you being here today. You've been on here for some time. It's given me a really good insight into the... Look, my part, I hopefully, is very innocuous in the sense that I'm curious in terms of the representation that you are saying through the presentation. 45,000 was that? Yes. So you sitting here was the intention of the 45,000 to say these are ours, because I did look at the three main priorities that you had up there, and it wasn't necessarily housing. And I'm also wanting to test, there's a whole lot of little questions because of my interest, trying to wrap it up in one question. I'm also interested in the composition of Māori and those that you're representative of, because it's a really, from our perspective, Haukura, it's a really big grouping that we would wish to canvass. So hopefully I've made myself clear in terms of what I'm querying, and you can answer those questions, would be appreciated.
Yeah, kia ora, and thank you for that question. I think that's a really important question to raise as well. So we are the overarching Students Association at the University of Auckland. So we, by virtue of that fact, we represent all 45,000 plus students. But we also have many other associations on campus that represent different groups. So Ngā Tauira Māori are the Māori Students Association on campus. And we actually have an MOU with that association where their co-presidents actually sit on our executive. So everything that we do are actually, they're a part of, and we're making sure that we're sort of upholding our treaty obligations by working with them, and not just consulting with them, but working with Ngā Tauira Māori and Māori students in general to make sure that we're doing right by them, because at the end of the day, we represent them as well, and we want to do the best for them. So in terms of the Students' Manifesto and a lot of the issues that we've raised through here, they were 1,000% a part of that process, and really, really appreciated their input and their mahi in this process as well. Yeah.
Kia ora, Member Wilson, and great answer, thank you. Sorry, last question, Councillor Newman.
Thank you, Chair. Appreciate the conversation today because I have a lot of sympathy for the density argument around the CBD. I have a lot of sympathy for the healthy home standard argument. I mean, I think that the state, frankly, has been laggard in this because Kāinga Ora was about the last one to come on board with the healthy home standard, in my view. But the question I had is, have you given any thought to the centres outside of the CBD for which there are tertiary campuses, and I mean specifically about Manukau and the Shore and Albany as well, because I mean I'm from the south. We've got significant tertiary education offerings at Manukau with MIT and with the AUT South Manukau campus. I just want to make sure that this conversation is being socialised with those other associations, because I'm not only interested in the city centre offering, I'm interested in the experience and the offering of those satellite campuses and campuses, major, I mean, MIT is in South Auckland for a lot of those students, many of whom are Māori and Pacifica, so, but they're not here. So are you talking to them?
I think I can answer that one. So as president of the association, we do engage a lot with our other tertiary campuses. I think one of the issues that has been highlighted since I came into office a couple of months ago is how we engage with the city versus how we engage with people more on the fringes. So that includes South Auckland. that for us even includes outside of Auckland, up in Te Tai Tokero, where I'm from. And that's something that we do need to work on, and I really appreciate you raising that as well, because I would like to acknowledge that this is not simply a discussion about the city centre. That does represent most of our student community at Waipapa Taumataro, but that's not the be-all and end-all. Kia ora.
And sorry, just to say that we actually do also have a beautiful campus. University of Auckland also has a beautiful campus down south as well. Yeah.
Kia ora, thank you. Just last question from me. Just it's a long way off, but you've got the 900-bed building in precinct building in Parnell, and then also fantastically the 630-odd bed building on Queen Street. Have you had any discussions with precinct what they're thinking their price points will be? I know that'll be market driven, etc. But do they have, or do you have a relationship with them to at least be discussing facilities and potential? You know, if the price point's too high, they're not going to fill these amazing buildings.
So not yet. We haven't had those conversations yet. I imagine they themselves are probably not at that stage where they're talking about that yet. But I think that's something that we can pick up and definitely reach out to them and talk about. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm sure Scott Pritchard and the team would be keen to chat to you guys. So, as important customers in the future. Cool. Well, Councillor Ferry, I think worked with you guys to get here. So just should no doubt like to move. And Councillor Henderson, did you want a second? Just briefly,
Chair.
want to acknowledge we'll pass on your advocacy to government agencies as well. We are happy to have you here and know you're coming to Transport and Infrastructure. And just again want to appreciate the advocacy, but also acknowledge what students provide for the city centre, which you can tell when unis are in Lawn Street, High Street, Queen Street, everywhere is very busy, humming at night. It's safer because you're all here on the street, spending the little money that you do have above your accommodation costs, but it is really important for city safety, for you to be here, but also for us to be doing the work to encourage students to come here, stay here, and spend some time outside of the accommodation when you're not studying. So kia ora, and thank you very much. All those in favour? Any opposed? No. Perfect. Thanks very much.
Kia ora koutou.
Thank you.
Right, so we'll go straight to our first. So there's no local board input?